We just entered the Layoff Olympics. Welcome, everybody. And you're about to get laid off. How do I know? Well, Cisco just laid off a few thousand people. Why? Who knows? Just because of it. And I'm starting to feel like all this layoff stuff was just them competing with each other. Who can lay off more people? And let's just get a reset. Let's just press salaries down and do all this stuff. Because when they first started doing these layoffs, like a year and a half ago, they start saying that, oh, AI, it is pressure on the stock market. We need to increase profit for shareholders. And I kind of understood that, when people told me, "Oh, I got laid off, my department got shut down, we're reprioritizing." I kind of get why they're doing the layoff, and that seems to me like one of the possible reasons why you get laid off. Your company's like, "Hey, I'm gonna reallocate resources from building to maintenance, and we're not gonna do that much building, so I'm sorry, we're gonna let you go." And I can kind of understand that. But now, when Cisco, strong profits, and are laying off people, I'm starting to feel like it's all just about, hey, our neighbor did layoff. Did you see that? Yeah. Hey, I think we should do layoffs too. How many people do you think we can lay off? Well, hold my beer. We can do about another 10,000. And what that does to the corporation is that everybody in that institution, in that organization, is going to have fear. So, what can that do? Well, that puts these people into overdrive. If you see people packing up their cubicles and packing these cardboard boxes and leaving the office, and you're just watching there and being like, "Ooh, this round wasn't me. The last round also wasn't me. But now the four cubicles that I'm in, I'm the only one standing or sitting." What does that mean? Well, you might be next, right? So you're like, "Oh gosh," and now they're piling work upon you. And when that happens, you really can't say no, because if you are going to say no, you might be next, right? So you are now working a job for two, three people, and yeah, they might give you some AI tool that helps, but you're the only one left. And now you're like, "Oh gosh." And if they're going to need new people, they now figured out because of COVID that we're just hired from overseas. And now they're going to say, "Hey, you, as the one person left, teach your replacement from overseas how to do your job." And then you're like, "Oh gosh." And with all this stuff going on, with all of these layoffs, we're now in a lower interest rate environment. And I feel like it came a little bit too late, because if we would have started these a little earlier, it wouldn't have incentivized all these companies to do these mass layoffs. But here we are. Elections are right around the corner, and there's just no good way for us to go into the future, because all these companies are not held accountable for removing all these jobs. And people are saying, "Oh, that's not going to be an issue for us. It's not going to hit me." And it's never going to hit you till it does. And then you're like, "Holy smokes, it did hit me." And some of us are so ignorant that we don't understand until we're in it. And me and Ali were one of them, where we moved during COVID, and then they're like, "Hey, you're not so remote. Come back to the office." And we're like, "Hold on, hold my beer. I'm going to find another job that is fully remote." And in that situation, it worked out. But in a lot of situations, that does not work out. And you're like, "Oh my gosh." And somebody in the comment section brought up this comment that said C Suite's going to be next. And I think they're right. C Suite is going to be next, who's going to be on the layoff chopping block, because if Amazon is going to start a new trend of flattening organizations, that's what's going to happen, because Amazon is a trendsetter. So when Amazon is going to flatten the organization, like I did in my video yesterday, that means that C-suite is next. So right now, C-suite was looking down on everybody, just laughing, and now they're going to be next too. So what comes around goes around, and then they're going to be crying and saying, "Oh, we got laid off, we got laid off." Well, you did it to everybody else, and now you're on it. And absolutely detrimental for everybody. But hey, what comes around goes around. And now we're looking at it like this is a market cycle. What does that mean? Well, the market cycle means that at one point, we're going to see a lot of hiring again. When? Maybe 2025, late 2025, maybe 2026, because these interest rates are going to come down in I think 4 times next year. These are all predictions, right? Nothing is set in stone. That's what they're saying. 4 times next year. So they're going to slowly decrease them again. And I'm just like, why didn't they slowly increase them and not like they did increase them like crazy? So now what's going to happen is we're going to be all in this environment where stuff is slowly going to get cheaper again, but there's nobody that can buy it. Because if you're on unemployment right now, you're making about $500 a week, something like it. That is about $2,000 a month. And there's been people in my comment section that say they've been job searching for a year, 8, 9 months. So they ran out of unemployment, if they even got it. So unemployment isn't here to stay, and it's not here to help you really, because they'll find all technicalities. They find you, oh, you didn't submit this form, so you're ineligible. And then, oh, you want back pay? Oh, you should have filed all this time and you should have done this, you should have done that. And you're not going to be getting your money. So they're going to find everything technicality to deny you. So the only way forward for most of Americans is to either start a business or to get hired. And getting hired is so tough right now. And somebody else in my comment section said that they would never move for a tech company. Well, if you're about to lose everything, you're going to move. If you are in a very desperate spot and you can't pay your bills, you are going to lose your house, you're going to lose everything, and this tech company offers you a job. You live in Florida, they're in Washington, Seattle, and they're saying, they're going to give you 120 and you can start on in 2 weeks from now. You're going to move. Most people are going to take that and say, hey, I need to do it because I don't want to be homeless. I don't want to lose everything. I'm already in credit card debt. They're mostly maxed out now. And that's a light at the end of the tunnel for me to get ahead of this. And yeah, it might not be the best option, but it is one of them, and I don't have any other options. So that's what it's going to be. And for other people that say this is absolutely ridiculous, if you have family, it's a whole lot different than when you're just by yourself. When you're by yourself, you can live in a car for a while, you can rent an apartment cheap, you can figure out a few things to just cut costs. But when you have family and you need to take care of them, and toddlers don't really care if you don't have the best health insurance. If they're sick, they got to go to the doctor. If they have teeth problem, you got to go bring them to the dentist. They're not going to hold it out just because you don't have the money, right? That means that you got to do a lot of moves in the right direction to make money and to feed for your family. And I always say, we just, as American society, just need to make about 95% of right decisions in life. 95 of the financial decisions need to be spot on, and then the rest of the 5%, you can do something kind of stupid and you still come ahead in life and in retirement. But you got to be aware of where this is going and how to do it, and talk to financial advisors. Because when you talk to people that deal with this stuff all the time, they can guide you and say, I wouldn't do this, I would do that because of this. And then you get a different perspective. And so then you can say, hey, this is how it's going to go, this is where I'm heading. And most of these financial advisors are going to take like 1 or 2% off of the stuff that they do. And they're not going to charge you that much. And they're doing it every day. So they see poor people, they see super wealthy people, and kind of get a feel for it, where this is going with your money, with your retirement, and everything. So you just got to be prepared to do the right moves at the right time. Because in my video yesterday, I said that if you are selling your house in Cape Coral, Florida, and everybody else is also selling their house, you're going to take a loss. And the problem with taking these big losses is that you at a normal job cannot outwork these losses. So if you're going to lose $100,000 to $200,000 because you sold your house, that's going to be really bad on compound interest when you're looking at it as 4, 5, 10, 20, 30 years from now. And now you might say, I can make it back. Yeah, you can, but it's going to be a lot tougher than when you just had that money and you put it in a Roth, you put it in a 401k, and you just kind of keep it rolling and keep accumulating the compound interest. But a lot of people say, oh, 401k is it's a scam. And I would say, hey, at least you have the money. At least when you're 60, you can then use that money. And when you're retirement age, you have something. Because I don't think a lot of Americans have something. And now, when we look at all these layoffs, I'm interested to see in a few years from now how much wipeout that this has done to Americans with their retirement accounts. How much did they cash out? How much wealth did they accrue during this time, or did they sell it? Did they lose? Did they lose their house? Did they lose their cars? Did they got foreclosed on? And seeing how this goes, because if you're gonna get foreclosed on your house, you get a repo on your credit card, on your car, not your credit card. If you get a repo on your car, and that all kind of gets into the bankruptcy hearing, right? That's kind of like, might file bankruptcy because credit card debt, all this other stuff. And I've seen a lot of creators on TikTok basically saying that they're doing bankruptcy and that it's the best decision they've ever done. They can't believe it because they're in $100,000 worth of debt and they're making about 50,000. And they said, oh, we're gonna give up the car, get another one, and do all that, and it's gonna take them 7 years to be done with that, to get that off the credit card report, right? That they filed for bankruptcy. And I'm saying that we're in hard times right now. When you file for bankruptcy and you got to do something like that, like drastically, because you got laid off and you just can't find another job, you 100% need to join the call today from Ali's career coaching community for free. And just shoot me an email, shoot me a DM on LinkedIn, and I will get you a free Zoom link, and you can just zoom in, listen to what she has to say. You can ask questions, and it's going to help you out. Hopefully, you can get a job, because there's so many people that are saying that they can't find it, that they can't do it, and I'm just giving you this option. So now, when you're looking at it, and you're looking at, hey, I'm going to retire soon, and this doesn't affect me. Well, it does going to affect you. And how do I know that? Because if you're going to retire and the whole economy around you is kind of crumbling, how great's that going to be? You're just going to sit in your house and see the whole pitchforks in the street, and you're going to see all this crazy stuff going on. I don't think that that's what you want to do, because all these people that are out and about trying to make a living are going to at one point result into scams, do other things, and then you're going to get scammed. Because you can make that assumption that if you are doing fairly well, you've retired, you're going to be more prone to scams. People do burglaries, they do robberies, they do all these crazy things because they need to feed their families. And don't get me wrong, in bad times, that's just going to pick up. And we're in a time where stuff is getting more and more expensive by the days. Car insurance getting more expensive, grocery store prices, even though they said Amazon came out like a week or two or a month or so ago, like a few weeks to a month ago, that said we're going to reduce Whole Food prices or Amazon Fresh prices by 30%. So they've made 30% more profit on these items for a very, very long time. And then the FTC came to Kroger and said, you were price gouging these people. And they've admitted that they said, yes, we did. We extracted way more money from these consumers because we just can. And now they're going to see what the FTC is going to do. But what a huge, huge thing is that you and I don't have is we don't have money to lobby. So when they have lobbying money, they can just figure something out and then lobby and get the sentence reduced, pay a little money, pay a little fine, and move on with their merry life. You and I, as normal consumers, if you and I send a Venmo payment to somebody that's over $600, and it's not reported, and we don't clear that, the IRS coming after us. But if there's big, big corporations do it, they're fine. Because why? They have an army of lawyers. They have good lawyers. So now the city, and now the IRS, not the city, the IRS needs to come out and hire more attorneys and more agents to come up a case. What does that result into? That results into more costs for them. So it's not worth going towards them because these people have a lot of wealth, they have a lot of power. So they're not going to go after them, right? They're going to come after you and me because you and me do not have the millions of dollars to hire good defense attorneys, good, and just get them where it hurts, where we postpone, they do this, they do that, they put depositions in, they do all these crazy things, and all of a sudden, it costs them so much more than they would have just left it alone, right? If that is the economy that we're in, then we're in trouble. And this is where we're at. Because I'm just looking at it like if you can postpone the legal system and you can just bury the government or bury the IRS in paperwork, because why not? You have the money, you have the lawyers on staff, so just do that. And that brings me up to a really, really interesting situation that I've experienced. So I used to live in a trailer park in California, was on the coast, and this Michigan company bought that trailer park. And once that trailer park was bought by the Michigan company, they said, the city, screw rent control, we're just going to jack up the prices. So they said, oh, that's not going to happen. And the city was like, we're going to come after you. So it was a smaller city. And what happened was that Michigan company flew in the lawyers on a private jet. They flew in the lawyers on a private jet. And these weren't some normal lawyers. These were some heavy hitters, Michigan lawyers that knew what they were doing. They buried the city. They buried the city in paperwork, in legal stuff, and they knew the law a million times better than the city attorneys did. And they just buried him in paperwork. So the city then at one point had to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to settle out of court because you're going to bankrupt the city. So what we're going to do is we're going to waive that rent control that you had. Just let these people that are in there now, let's just let these people do the rent control, and everybody else that moves in, you can do whatever you want. And so it was a huge win for this Michigan company. And this is how the US justice system works. If you have enough money to throw at things, you'll always be fine. If you have enough money, unless you're doing the P. Diddy thing where you have 1,000 bottles of lube and all that kind of stuff, then you're obviously guilty. But if you're doing these white collar crimes and you throw enough money at it, you'll be fine. And this is where the problem lies. This is where the underlying problem lies with all these layoffs. Nobody can go after it because you can just throw money at it. If you're billion-dollar corporations who are doing these layoffs that are not 100% correct, they can't come after you. And if they do, then you just throw lawyers at them and you just throw money at it until the time that the people that got laid off see anything is way, way, way past. So they probably got jobs. It's going to take them a few years to get settled in and out of court. And yeah, it's going to take years for you to see anything if they wrongfully determined you, right? If they got you a wrongful determination or something else, it's going to take years because they can do it. Because who's going to stop them with all that freaking money? If you're making billions of dollars in revenue, you can hire these New York top law firms that cost a few $1,000 an hour on private jets to come out and defend you. And as a CEO, that's what I would do too. And if you were the CEO of that company, you would probably do that too. You weigh in the options. You say, oh, if they settle, then we're going to have to pay out so we can use the lawyers and just postpone, and figure something else out. So Layoffs Olympics, here we come, because there's going to be way more, and we're just starting. We're just starting. I think it's going to end in 2025 though, but let me know what you guys think about all this, and like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.